Dub Nation, you know I got you. I'm going to finish up Friday's episode with some Warriors talk. The first order of business is the Warriors sign Gary Payton Jr., or is it Gary Payton II? He's 28 years old, 6'3", with a 6'8" wingspan, and he is the reigning defensive player of the year in the G League. I got to say, though, you look at the moves that the Warriors have made on the edge of their roster. Juan Toscano-Anderson. They brought Jeremy Lin in. I know he hasn't been called up, but they brought him into Santa Cruz and into the G League, right? And now the glove son, Gary Payton Jr. Does it not feel like marketing is part of the equation? I'm not saying that they're not interested in these guys as players, but it feels like there is some sort of local appeal that's playing into these decisions. It was also announced that fans will be back at Chase Center April 23rd. Gary Payton, a lot of Bay Area, Oakland connections. I'm just saying. I don't know. For those that love to point out all the players that have slipped through the cracks from this Warriors organization over the last 3 or 4 years, Chris Boucher, I just got done talking about one of them, Kendrick Nunn. The list goes on. House Jr. So I'm vaguely familiar with Gary Payton Jr. I remember him at Oregon State. He's had a cup of coffee in the league several times. Last was with the Wizards, where he played 28 games. You know what he's in the mold of Kelly Oubre. He is a ball-hawking guard, very athletic. He's a big leaper off of 2 feet. He'll even block shots at 6'3", come from the weak side. And he's just fearless with his athleticism. He's like a mini Kelly Oubre, but he can't shoot as well as Oubre. And so at 28 years old, you kind of wonder he is who he is. It always fascinates me, too, these sons of former players. How in the world does GP not make sure his son has a jumper? Now, Gary Payton was not known as a shooter. I understand that. He does fit his dad's mold of a defender. But you would think as an NBA player, if you have a son, shooting rules. You got to develop the shot. And so it'll be interesting. I think he's going to get some minutes here. You look ahead at these next 2 games. Westbrook, Beal. I don't know if Beal is out for Washington, but I could see him spending some minutes on Westbrook, as well as young Kevin Porter Jr. Saturday night in Houston. That'd be a fun matchup. Porter Jr., a lot of sauce. Also Wall in that backcourt. So I think we're going to see him. But again, you put him on the floor, can't play him with Draymond, playing him with Looney. I guess Looney has been more offensively aggressive of late. I've loved to see that. I thought that they should have picked up a big. Easier said than done. There's a lot more guards and smaller wings to pick from the G League. Generally speaking, all the bigs are swooped up, right? If you're worth a damn and you're 6'8" and athletic or 6'10", you're on a roster already. So I understand that, but I thought they would go with a front court player. It's just interesting because how quick did they bail on Nico? What did Nico get, like a 3-game opportunity? I don't quite get it. He showed pretty well. Little TJ McConnell out there, dogging people 94 feet. He shot the 3 relatively well. Right? The only thing that I can think of was during the debacle against Toronto, he kept having inbound turnovers. He had some bad turnovers. He did. And I don't know if that pissed Steve off. I don't know what it is, but they bailed on Nico super quick. They bring in another guard who's probably going to play ahead of him at least for these 10 days. I don't know, man. To bring in another non-shooting guard. At the very least, he'll have a cool handshake with Juan T. pregame. Did y'all listen to the Draymond KD pod? Very good. Durant and Rich Kleiman in this media company that they had launched, they've kind of rebranded it, right? Remember the boardroom? It didn't really work. And less Rich Kleiman. He needs to fall back behind the scenes. He can be Suge. You ain't Diddy. This new pod, Draymond comes on, and I'm sure most of you listen to it. Did Draymond low-key call himself a bum?
One thing, if you know anything about K, one thing K hates most is a bum talking shit to him. Like, any bum talks shit to K, he hates that more than anything. And, I end up catching the 54 on our head.
Did you catch that? Like, was that not that? And then, of course, when they talked about the infamous play against the Clippers late that kind of brought everything to a head that final season, look, the reality of it is Draymond wanted the assist. It's the same thing that we see now. Draymond, we know he's not a scorer, he's not a shooter. in order to feed his ego, in order for Draymond to feel important offensively, he wants to set the table for everybody, right? And Durant wanted the ball early so he could bring it up, size somebody up, and pull up. And Draymond wanted to set the table and get the game-winning assist. That's what it boils down to. I'm going to just finally come clean about this.